Welcome to the Shadow Trail. This entrance, which is a blueprint, I will link it in the comments, serves as the dramatic starting point for a shadowy, canopied forest, complete with several distinct habitats for forest-dwelling monkeys and some hoofstock, the okapi. This is a large project that I've started undertaking, which will take a while to finish. But when I saw this blueprint, I knew I had to include it. We have a interesting area here to the left where you will look at the African leopard, and then you will walk into the forest where you will see the red-ruffed lemur, the shifak, the mandrill, the okapi, the ring-tailed lemur, and one already finished habitat across from the fossa and the Zanzibar colobus and some elephants. This is what we built. This first habitat sits right on the edge of Roman rocks, and this area suggests a natural habitat inspired by the Chingi di Bemaraha Nature Reserve, a breathtaking piece of Madagascar's unique geography and one of the most extraordinary landscapes in the world. And I'm really pleased with the way it came out. The rocks down below are also a blueprint. I will include that in the comments. So we've first started working on the entrance with these wooden posts. The paths in the forest itself will be null paths to give it a more naturalistic, adventurous feel. We add the title, the name of the exhibit here to the front of the entrance, and creating some nice stairs for the visitors to enter the entrance building. Then we finished the moat that separates this exhibit from the rest of the park with some faux rocks, some plants, some water lilies, just to make sure we have these arrowwood plants, just to make sure that it feels like a natural transition between two parts of the park. Then we complete the planting area here of the baobab tree and make sure all the details match up fine. And then we start digging the moat above which and inside of which the black and white ruffed lemur will live. We start adding these circular pillars, and then we surround them with concrete to give them both an artificial feel but also a natural feel, because they will be surrounded by these cool natural formations, or at least something suggesting the natural formation. So we add one of these to every little pillar. Being the genius that I am, I of course had a recording mishap, but to catch you up, I used these concrete frames to the left. Very simple climbing structures, just some poles and some rope connected to it. These Chingi Cliffs blueprints by Nicholas Lionrider, a really interesting natural phenomenon. In fact, all of Madagascar is really interesting, and I suggest, if you feel inspired, go look up some videos about the way that this island continent pretty much developed itself. The lemurs are a unique animal living in a unique space, and these slabs to the right are actually from the tropical pack. These are mossy slabs with the moss itself recolored to look like darker stone, and those things were used to create this. Here's your first look at the habitat. You will get a better look at the more finished version of it later. Before that, we create a very simplistic shelter with these dark volcanic rocks surrounding it. Again, a simplistic shelter deliberately to save the piece count so that I can go all out on the actual zoo itself. It's a tiny decision. It might, look ugly in places, but we add these little viewing windows for the guests to look inside my simplistic shelter, add some windows just to make sure. I might finish up, add some details to the shelter building. On the walls we add these grass roofs to the top, going for a more irregular shape to add a little bit of an organic shape to this simplistic shelter. I'm not the best at making buildings, still a challenge for me. I prefer to go for plant work and rock work. We add some nice trees to give more of a separation between this part, because there's also a climbing frame on the other part. This here is the beginning of what will be sort of a large dome over the entire exhibit. This will span over multiple habitats. I will try to go for a wavy organic sort of cover, a canopy, and then make it all overgrown with plants so that the entire forest is just covered with a shadow day and night. It will take some time, and it will take some time for me to feel truly satisfied with what I have in my head, but the null pads here with the sand, these wooden posts, all of the plants that will be under the canopy, giving it all of it a green, shadowy vibe. And then I will add these holes in the top of the canopy above the habitats or in random places, and have baobab trees growing into the holes to extend above the canopy. That is the general idea. This will take some time to finish. I'm still debating whether I will release this in one giant go or in little chunks, or I will film parts of this and then film parts of something else, but I really look forward to the finished product. We finish up the pathing here for the first lemur habitats, which is deliberately outside of the forest because it feels like a transitional area. Adding the manzanita bush here. This habitat is not realistic because the lemurs can absolutely escape from it, but just to please the game, the programming of the game, we add these little fake electrical barriers to keep them out. And here is what the final product looks like, bordering on the shadow trails. A really cool, interesting little habitat, if I say so myself, with the separate pillars really forcing the animals to make use of the climbing frames to traverse the habitat. I will also say that these like strange palm trees are a blueprint from ZSH Plays, who has created a far superior Madagascar forest more than once, in fact. But I like the colors here, I like the vibe, I like the driftwood platforms, and I'm really pleased with how this came out, even though the lemurs spent the whole time recording inside of their shelter. But I guess that's realistic zoo behavior. That concludes this small montage / speed build and introduction to this big new project, the Shadow Trail. I hope you enjoy. If you want to see what's next for Bollo Bollo, what's next for the Shadow Trail, or what else I will be doing on this channel, be sure to leave a like, a comment, or even a subscription if you really want to help me out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.